Other than the ways that I've helped my clients, creating CE courses for other professionals is definitely the best thing that I've ever done in my career. Let me tell you a little bit about my own story. I am a lover of learning. I love deep learning, not just the superficial learning to get the grade. I've never been interested in grades. I've always been interested in really learning. What that's done is it's sent me down a lot of rabbit holes, right? So when I'm learning a particular subject that I have interested in, I don't just take the information that's presented to me. I go deeper and deeper. So I have this sense of curiosity. A lot of questions pop into my head as I'm learning material, and so I need to go and seek and find those answers, right? And another aspect to my story is when I went through my graduate program to be a counselor, they would ask us, now what's the theory in which we base our treatment uh, our treatment on? And that always kind of threw me for a loop because I was thinking, well, I don't really feel like I'm truly an expert in any theory or modality or technique, but I wanted to be. In order to really feel like an expert, that takes a lot of time and effort and deep learning. And the way that I found to do that is to actually create courses where I train others, because that process involves a lot of this. It involves getting really curious, so that I can think of all the possible questions that other people might have in terms of how does this theory actually make sense, right? Can you explain to a 5-year-old and they'll be like, yeah, that makes sense to me, right? If not, there might be something wrong here. So it has to be super clear and understandable. And then the other thing is, where's the evidence? And so it takes a lot of time of looking at the research, finding out as many answers as possible, finding out what's still unknown or what are we still unsure of in terms of a particular modality or theory or technique, etc. Um, so I found creating courses to really satisfy my appetite as being a deep learner and truly wanting to be an expert on something, right? So when I was in school, I've done a lot of schooling, multiple graduate degrees. So, we would have to do these projects, and I really enjoyed doing projects. And part of the projects was like presenting the project to other students and explaining what it is that I learned. So I really enjoyed that. Another thing is when I worked with clients, I found myself repeating myself a lot, explaining stuff to my clients. So I figured, why not create a recording of these things to provide my clients? It'd benefit them, it'd benefit me. It would also help me really hone that particular instruction to perfect it, right? To make it the best. And then rather than having to remember that stuff, that's the other thing, I forget things, right? So then rather than having to remember everything and getting it perfect every time, if I nail it right once in a recording, then I have it for my clients. Another thing that I've done for a while is executive coaching. And when I did that, I actually trained under an executive coach for a year. And they brought me through this process of developing courses and curriculum for other professionals, which I found really beneficial. And then later in my career, I got the opportunity to take some executive level communication courses, which I found really helpful. So then, as a counselor, my first client wanted phone sessions, and I didn't learn anything about how to do that in graduate school or my supervision program. So I had to go seeking the answers, and I realized that there's a great need for other behavioral health professionals to understand how to do telehealth appropriately and to have training that's comprehensive and that's practical. So I saw this need, I had interest in it, and I'm a lover of learning. So to fulfill my appetite, I created training programs, curriculum around telemental health. Um, So for me, it's a way to solidify and clarify my own learning and wisdom. I'm an idea person, and it's kind of like when you have an idea and a passion, it's like being an artist. And you can have these ideas of art in your head, but there's this deep need to actually put it into practice, like to actually create something, which is a painting or a sculpture. So creating a CE course was that for me. It's like I have this final product creation of my passion, my efforts, my focus, that I can then share and help others. So there's actually a utilization there. It actually has a great benefit for others. It gives meaning to my passion and my abilities and interests, etc. So that's my story. So you might relate to that. You might be a lover of learning, have a deep interest, a passion, etc., and want to kind of hone that skill and share it with others. So now I'm going to move on to, well, what are the key aspects for creating a CE course? Well, one thing is, what is it that you want to present on? Now, you don't have to get hung up on that. Think of like, what are your interests and your passions? Where do you find yourself spending too much time researching a particular topic, right? Like you might have a particular theory or technique, modality that you are interested in or utilize in practice, and you have a lot of questions about it and uncertainties, and you go digging into more research, more articles, more trainings, right? And you just find yourself really kind of burying yourself in this, going down these rabbit holes of trying to understand it as fully as you possibly can. Well, that is a topic that you should probably be training people on, right? So that's a good one. So that's the first thing, is what are the topics? And you could just brainstorm a whole bunch of topics. The next thing is, what's the purpose, right? What's the purpose of training on this topic? Why would you train on this topic, right? And what's the need? Do people actually need this, right? You might need it, and that might be enough. Let me give you another story. When I was doing executive coaching, a part of running a business is sales. So I wanted to really understand well how to do sales. So I created a really long training program on how to do sales based upon psychology. I didn't sell it to anybody. I never even marketed it, but I created it for my own purposes, for my own learning. Okay. But what is the need? Who needs it and why? And then also CE courses, they need to be at an advanced level. Now, when I say advanced, what I mean is post-licensure, postgraduate degree, right? So when you create a CE course, you do identify, hey, is this for beginners, intermediate, advanced? Well, that is important. However, all of the courses ought to be like postgraduate licensure level. Okay, so this is a kind of at a deeper, more advanced level than something superficial that you would just make available to the public for a general understanding. So the next step is to create an outline. What are the topics that you want to cover? What ought someone know to be able to implement? This is one thing that's really important to me, is any CE course ought to be super practical, right? You don't want people to take a training and then be like, well, what do I do with this? Okay. So create the outline. And then after the outline, you want to list out, what are the learning objectives? Now, the learning objectives should be practical, something that you implement, and something that you can actually measure and evaluate. So it's not like, oh, understand the theory of this. No, it is like conduct an assessment on, create a treatment plan for, something that is actually something you put into practice and that you can actually measure. All right. Now, the other thing that I find with creating CE courses is, again, I'll go down all these different rabbit holes. So think about telehealth, telemental health. It's a huge topic. If you look at privacy law for using technology, that's There's many privacy laws in the United States, okay? And being able to fully understand each of those and the interpretation of those and the implications of those takes an extremely long time. IT security, technology, all the different devices, all the different types of technology we use in practice. That's a whole nother huge subject. It takes a long time. Then the clinical skills and the research on the effectiveness of different uses of telehealth. Oh my goodness! Like I could go down so many different rabbit holes. All the different use cases of telemental health. All the different professionals that use it. Right? Holy moly! So yeah, that's one thing that could be a stumbling block in terms of actually getting a course completed and presented, especially if you're a perfectionist, which I'm a little bit of, that, that could be a stumbling block. So in terms of the learning objectives and the outline, you want to limit it. Okay, so a way to get around that stumbling. Now listen, I am not going to provide a course unless I really fully understand it. Okay, so I want to be able to answer all the questions people have. But in order to get a course done and present it, what that means is I have to limit the topic, limit the learning objectives. So if someone has a question that's not pertaining to the exact course that I'm providing in the outline, then I can tell them, well, that's not something I prepared for. That's outside the scope of this course, right? Otherwise, you'll never get it done, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, the next thing after you create those learning objectives is to do your research. Open up your mind, brainstorm, talk to others, listen to every other training you can on it, all the research articles on it, all the professional literature. Like, you want to really delve deep, and it takes some time into the research on this. You want to get a full understanding of what's already out there on that particular topic. And that's why you want to really focus on a particular, like a very narrow topic. And then you want to think about the flow of your course. Okay, what is it that you want to walk people through in a way that's going to make sense to them, that they can follow, that they can implement, right? So what's the flow of the training that you want to provide? The other thing is to make sure that the course is really clear and understandable. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about psychotherapy theories, and it's like way out there kind of thing, and you don't really understand how that's even applicable or whatever. And ask yourself, I wonder if the instructor even knows what they're talking about, or if it's just kind of, technical language that they're throwing out there, but they don't really understand it themselves, So the content should be really clear and understandable. If you think of like a 5-year-old, a 5-year-old has so many questions. Why is the sky blue? Why do we do things this way, right? So if you explain it to a 5-year-old, would it make sense to them? Would it be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, okay? Common sense. So I would keep that in mind. Then you want to write, when you provide the course, give descriptions, right? Help people see it and hear it and understand it in their mind. And one good way to do that is to provide demos, right? Demonstrations of actually implementing what it is that you're teaching, doing it in action. People have different learning styles, summaries, stuff like that. Another thing is using really good, powerful images. And then be engaging, help people think about questions and help people facilitate people thinking about how is it that they're going to implement this into their own practice, right? And then in terms of providing the course, if you're going to provide it online, like through a webinar or as an online recording, think about the tech that you use. You want to use good technology and then practice. So I've done this so many times. I've been doing trainings for a long time, but it took me a lot of practice of recording myself and listening to myself and having others listening to me and giving me feedback. So record yourself, give yourself feedback, have others give you feedback, and continually just hone your skill of presenting. And there's a lot of skills to that in terms of communication, using your energy, your emotion, having clear speech, good eye contact, all of that kind of stuff. You don't want to be monotone and boring, right? We don't want any of that kind of stuff. We've all been to those trainings that were boring. We just sat and we're like, okay, blah, 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 right? All right. So think for yourself, what's say one course that you would be interested in providing? What's one topic that you kind of chew on and have a lot of curiosity on? What's something that you would like to be truly an expert on and kind of feel confident that, yeah, I really know this subject and I really investigated this, right? And then think to yourself, what kind of impact is this going to have on me to actually create a course that I provide to others, right? And is that the road I want to go down, okay? So now let's talk about some benefits to actually providing a CE course to other professionals. I talked about your own learning, your own development, your own honing of your skill, the process of becoming a true expert on something, right? Because you've gone to the depths of understanding on that particular topic. Then you can claim to be an expert on that topic. Now, of course, this is an ongoing process, but you will continue learning about a topic if you really go through the process of creating a course. At least I have, because more questions are going to come up and you're going to want to go find those answers, right? Then on your resume, when you go apply for a job, if you think about someone that's hiring for a position, if you're looking at 5 resumes and you know that someone has presented and created a course on the subject area, right, that you're hiring for, that's going to say a lot, right? And you're going to be able to speak very knowledgeable and present the information and say an interview in a very good way, right? So another one is for referrals. If you're looking for referrals from other professionals, having even short courses and presentations out there for people to see, you will be seen as an expert. They will actually see you in action and have much more trust and confidence in your knowledge and in your practice to be able to send you referrals. It's also a great way to market to the public. So again, if you create these short courses that are really understandable in a way that's has depth and clarity, then the public, right, people looking for services, they're going to, again, have confidence and trust in you. So it's great for marketing. So how do you do this? Where do you do it? So one is you can create short little trainings for your clients. You can create some for your workplace, for your colleagues, or you can train for us or organizations like us. So we're looking for great instructors. We always are, okay? So if you have an interest and passion, we would love for you to apply to be a presenter for us. There's a process to it. But one of the things is we will help you. We love helping people. That's one of our main values as an organization. So we'll give you some guidance on the process and give you feedback. So we can't guarantee that your course proposal will be accepted by us, but it very well may be, right? And if not, we'll give you some guidance as to how to make changes if we think it's a fit. But we are always looking for good instructors that have passion. So if you are interested in creating a course, presenting it to a wide range of behavioral health clinicians and having assistance with that, contact me, right? So email me of your interest of presenting a course. Let me know what's the topic that you'd like to present on, what's your experience, your knowledge on that. If you have a video recording of yourself presenting something, that'd be really helpful. If you don't, I'd recommend just doing a quick recording on a small piece of the topic so that we can see you in action. And so just simply email me of your interest. and then we'll set up a time to meet through a video meeting to discuss it. And then if I think it's a fit, we'll send you information as to what we need in the process. And again, we can give you guidance on this stuff. And then we have it go through our advisory committee to make sure it meets all of our standards. So we would love to have you apply to be a presenter. So hopefully this has been really helpful to you. And again, if you're a lover of learning and you are an instructor and you have this passion, I highly encourage you to expand your reach of sharing your courses with people through us or through other organizations or creating a course. Thanks so much.